Which box are you in? By The Light. Hello lovely people, on my middle wanderings I came across the following, and only felt it right to share. I think it makes a lot of sense. Green box. To start with, there's the green box, our accepted reality. That box represents everything you think you know about the world, the facts you have been fed, the story you have been told. It is the perspective of the conditioned mind. Most people will live out their entire lives within this green box, and truly, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It has purpose. This box is green because it is safe and it is accepted. An analogy which describes this green box very well is that it is something like the Matrix. In fact, most people don't realize that this box exists. Another name for this box is a perception/experience of limitation. Red box. Next we have the red box. This is red for several reasons. This box is probably the most interesting of all boxes in the path of truth-seeking. Firstly, it is forbidden. Its content is not taught at school or church, it is not in our history books or in common media, it is not the topic of public discussion, its views are therefore generally not accepted and hence it is not within the green box. It's a bit like the red pill, it exposes almost everything in the green box as lies and deception. It contains many answers and explanations, whos and whys, to so many of the injustices we see in the green box which we normally accept as unexplained. Shit happens. When people want to understand why exactly does shit happen, they eventually end up in the red box looking for answers. This red box contains basically all the conspiracy theories and much more. This outside reality uncovers a completely new, possibly shocking, world to a lot of people, yet the box had so many purposes. Firstly, its purpose is to keep people in the green box. It does this in a few different ways. Firstly, those who leave the green box and enter the red box are shocked. So much indeed that they return to the green box in disbelief, then accept the green box, it is what it is, and when something can't be explained, they change the topic and live in ignorance, they accept what is, and make the best of it. The second way it attempts to send people back into the green box is when someone returns from the red box and tells other people in the green box, they get ridiculed, which will be rather unpleasant. They may also be met with anger depending on the topic. With this unpleasantness, that person does one of two things. They either accept the common views of the people in the green box, doubt themselves, feel really stupid, accept their foolishness at being so gullible and stay in the green box. Alternatively, they stay in the red box and make either compromises with whom they talk to in future, keep to themselves, keep opinions to themselves, and become somewhat of an outsider, a fringe member of society, or they become very vocal and create conflict. This is where it can become interesting. The people in the red box will try to change the people in the green box. They get very passionate, angry, activism sets in, and they will dig for facts and evidence to convince the people in the green box and so on. A significant observation that is made in the red box is that apart from exposing the lies and injustice of what is occurring in the green box, it also contains a good portion of lies and deception itself, by design, which in the end discredits many of the truths. This also discourages people to enter or remain in the red box. The red box refer to themselves as truthers. The green box refers to themselves as normal. Those in the green box are also labeled by the red box, often called sheep, sheeple, asleep, and are often described as living in a box. By far the most active front for searching for a higher truth happens in this red box. It is a melting pot of emotions and debate. The red box will battle with the green box with theories and evidence, however the battle is never won, and it is predominantly only that, a battle, and not a solution. The more the red box is explored, the more bleak the outlook appears, the more powerless one feels, and emotions of desperation, anger, sadness and depression dominate. Some people surrender to the new conditions of the red box and accept that this is the new true limitations of reality. For others, something really profound happens. They discover that they are actually not only outside the green box, but actually inside another box. There remains a higher truth to explore. This second revelation is reached due to the discovery that the red box doesn't actually supply any solutions, it only highlights the problems, so it is not particularly constructive and appears mostly to provide conflict of ideas and beliefs between the green box and red box, who is right, who is wrong, etc. Once stepping out past the red box, one discovers that both the green box and red box are two halves in the third density or fourth dimension. They are yin and yang. They are what could be referred to as duality, opposing forces. The opposing forces are both of the boxes themselves or their views, but also within each, the forces are what is commonly perceived as good or evil. For example, Many in the red box act out of good intention, by trying to stop evil by unmasking it. However, the tools and methods used which are considered to work, such as the fear emotion, actually serve evil, and once seeing it from a higher perspective, these methods do a great deal more harm than good, hence the negative emotions and energy within the red box. Yellow box. Then comes the yellow box. It's very different from both the green and the red box on many levels, primarily because it no longer is bound by physical limitations, which is at first a great relief to those who have escaped the red box. The concepts and rules in this box are very liquid, and at first it is slippery, and one finds it hard to grasp. It opens up so many opportunities and potential that was previously unseen. It goes beyond our five senses and transcends the inherent limitations of the realities of the green and red boxes. However, it also appears to challenge our very existence, when first entering this box. So what on earth is a yellow box? It uncovers the truths of our perception of reality. For this reason it is cloudy, in the sense that sometimes words and pictures fail to capture or deliver the message. As such, there is much lost in translation. The yellow box largely leaves behind the notion of evidence, where faith becomes the primary method for acceptance of what is and continuing the journey. To some small extent, faith may have been practiced in the red box, where there was little or no evidence. Connecting the dots and applying faith alone was enough to create a belief system of the reality at that level. So again, what is the yellow box? Quantum physics shows us that 99.9999% of the atom is space. Furthermore, the 0.0001%, which is the nucleus of the atom when analyzed, is also 99.9999% space. Physical and material objects are not what our sense perception has told us that they are. The green and red box focus and define their reality from the 0.0001%, the yellow box goes beyond that. It therefore can be labeled the spiritual box. However, one soon learns that labels, words and definitions are not to be taken literally in this box. The spoken and written word is often so inadequate that this box is often explored from many angles to understand a single point. For those entering this box, the easiest place to start is quite possibly to topics of ancient cultures, artifacts, religions, and even the early teachings of current world religions. It can also help coming from a humble standing. Often after sufficient exploration of the red box we understand we are not so grand or advanced as what the green box will have us believe. From this standing there is much respect to be had for our ancestors and their knowledge. The yellow box explores the 99.9999% of reality. The word space is a label for that which is not picked up by our five senses. In the green and red box, this is considered empty. An interpretation of space in the yellow box is that it is not empty, but is in fact full. Learning of the consequences of this is one of many topics covered in the yellow box. The yellow box is by far the most exciting box. We often learn that many things are in fact opposite, that what was seen as evil, is in fact good. And that we weren't dealt the cards, we picked them ourselves. Science fiction concepts such as time travel, wormholes and parallel universes are easy to explain and understand, and in fact enrich and strengthen the other concepts. However, since we know so little and can only apply such small concepts to our current reality, it becomes difficult to remain in the yellow box. In fact, without knowing it, we find ourselves slipping back into the red box again, which is terribly addictive. So, where does it leave us? It is important to understand that the yellow box exists, however very few people are able to manifest the power of the yellow box, although there are some well-known people who have done so in the past. However, as always, the answers present themselves in the yellow box. It is a box full of answers. We also learn of cycles of life and astrology, incoming events which will enable us to transition to a higher awareness, which is explained in the yellow box. It is for that reason why one searches for the yellow box, without knowing what it is or why one searches. Teachers that can give a good overall picture of the content in the yellow box include Eckhart Tolle, Nassim Haramein, Bashar, Channel of Darulunga, websites such as in5g.com and bring4th.org. A good place to get a very brief understanding of our ancestors can include History.com's documentary area on ancient aliens, Mayans and Egyptians. Blue Box. In the blue box, you know who you are, you know where you have come from and what journeys you have been on, you know what you have to do and where to go. You have purpose. Purpose to create an experience. We are coming out of experiencing the fourth dimension, 3 dimensions of form and 1 of time. The fourth dimension being the experience of limitation, where we have limited form and limited time. We may be going into the fifth dimension, if we choose to do so, to add the next level of experience to our creation, or we may recreate the fourth dimension experience. As there are so many roles, lessons and experiences to have, our consciousness freely moves us between dimensions, time, roles and experiences once we tap back into the source. The source is difficult to explain with words, so is the creator, or God. We find the true unspoken meanings within us when we search for them. An interpretation of collective consciousness is that there is only one, and it can coexist in different beings and experience itself in the fourth dimension. A belief is that one cannot change one's world around one, however, simply through intent one can tune into a parallel reality which exists in the way that is intended, giving the perception of changing the world. The law of attraction, however, you are not attracting to yourself. You attract and transport your consciousness to the parallel reality which already has yourself that experience. In the green box, reality is often defined as a single linear progression of time and a single probability, fate. In geometry, this would be represented as one dimension, x, length. In the blue box, reality is defined geometrically by 3 dimensions, along one axis, y, are all of one's own probabilities and outcomes, within your current form or body. Every single choice or intent gives a different value of y. In the other axis, z, is every other external variable, which is so broad that it contains things like other people's choices or even other cosmic probabilities, which includes circumstances such as you not being born or even completely different Earth conditions. It is along the z-axis where you find alternate lives, experienced in other forms or bodies. The purpose? This post is purposely written without many specific examples, as it was found that the only constant which is common, is the direction, and not the path of the journey. Each journey is, and has to be, unique. Following in another's footsteps goes against the universal law. Some teachers were listed as a starting point. Most of their teachings are very broad spectrum and cover both red and yellow boxes, others focus more on one than the other. In any case, they were deemed a good launchpad to where everyone takes a different path across a vast interconnected web of experience, concepts and outcomes.